Hey everyone, it's Eric back with another video. First of all, I wanted to say thank you guys for the support on the first video I uploaded on this channel. I'm already at 100 subscribers, which is more than I've ever had on any YouTube channel, so really appreciate it. And I really enjoy making videos and I love chess, so I will definitely continue, especially if the support continues to come. So again, I really appreciate it guys, and let's get to today's video. So, back in May of 2024, I played in the Saturday Night Blitz tournament at the St. Louis Chess Club. They do it every Saturday, and this particular Saturday, Fabiano Caruana, world number 2, decided to show up. And after winning my first match, first round, you play 5 rounds, which are 2-game matches against one opponent. I went 2-0 against my first opponent, and in round 2, I was paired against none other than Fabiano Caruana himself. So let's look at the game that I played with black and quickly the game I played with white, although the game I played with white was sus. Anyways, Fabi starts with d4, and today he decided to play a Queen's Gambit. I was hoping he'd play e4 because I wanted to play a Sicilian, but you know, it's okay. Knight c3, and he trades on d5, all pretty standard. h6, bishop f4. And here, after bishop d6, I had already felt like I wasn't going to be in any big trouble this opening. He is going for definitely a more positional approach. And if I'm able to trade the dark square bishops off, then I already felt like I should be relatively safe. So bishop g3, rook e8, just developing. And after queen c2, here, I'm already better because this move allows me to play knight c6, which I'm able to develop and create a threat at the same time. If I'm able to play knight b4 next move, then and take his bishop off the board for my knight, then that's definitely a good trade for me. So he kind of has to respond. So he goes bishop e2. And now I go knight b4 anyways. And the point is, after he plays queen d2, which is a mistake, apparently, I go bishop f5. And now I'm threatening knight c2. So, sorry. He has to spend another move dealing with this. So he goes rook c1. And now I continue playing the most critical moves, knight e4, forcing knight takes e4. If he doesn't take, if he plays queen d1, for example, then I take on c3 and I take on a2. And that's definitely a problem for him. So he has to take the knight. Now I take back with the bishop. I'm attacking g2, so he has to deal with that. So he goes f3. And here, I missed a very big opportunity for an advantage. And I needed to play knight takes a2. And the idea is that, yes, I'm attacking this rook. He's forced to take. If he plays rook a1, then he blunders bishop b4. So there is really nothing else he can do that doesn't just easily lose material other than taking. And now the point is I don't play bishop b4 because this allows rook c3, and white would, it would be a better, much better version than if I played the correct line, which is knight takes c1, queen takes c1, and bishop b4 check. And after bishop b4 check, his king is forced to go to an uncomfortable square. So, for example, if he plays king f2, which is what you generally would want to play in this position because it looks like, you know, you could maybe develop like this and your king is safe. The problem with this is now I can take on e4, and I'm immediately threatening queen f6, and you don't have knight blocking on f3 or bishop blocking on f3. So queen f6 is a serious problem now. So I think actually white would have to play knight h3, queen f6, king back to g1. But now it's going to take a very long time to get these pieces out, and they're all stuck in the corner. So while this is all going on, I can probably play like c5, rook c8, and start to open up the center and play on the queen side. So white would have been a lot worse there. Black would have been better. Also, if he were to try knight f4, just for example, like g5 is an idea. So you can't play any blocking on f4 either, just in case you guys didn't see that. So knight h3, queen f6 would have been very good for me. And yes, I should have played knight takes a2, but I didn't see that. I'm not going to lie. So I played bishop g6, which felt like I was still doing okay for sure. He goes a3, and now that I missed my opportunity to play super critically and take advantage of my development, Fabi just pushes me back and pretty much equalizes immediately. I think here bishop b5, yes. Bishop b5 right away in this position would have been very good for white, and creates a lot of problems immediately on c6, because this pin is like it's surprisingly annoying, and there's really no good move to defend my knight. And then it also gives him a very natural development square for the knight on g1. So bishop b5 would have been a nice move to find here, and this idea comes up later, but yeah, he missed it here. So instead he goes knight h3, which makes sense. And I decided to trade on g3 and play queen e7, because I thought it made sense to attack e3 because it looks like a weak pawn. He can't really play e4 very easily, so if I can just put a bunch of pieces on the e-file, then it makes sense. So king f2. But now, after he played king f2, he played this move pretty quickly. I sort of looked and I didn't have an idea anymore of what I should have done. The move I probably should have played, and is the engine suggested move, is the somewhat counterintuitive knight b8. And the point is, I sidestepped this idea of bishop b5, which is very strong. And like I said, I didn't even see this idea. But also, it gives me c6 next, and my knight actually could be a lot more useful from d7, because on c6, I'm just attacking this pawn. I don't have any pawn to even prepare playing e5 myself, so the knight on c6 is just kind of misplaced. On d7, I can either hop to b6 and help play on the queen side, or maybe even go to f6, maybe dream about playing knight h5 and queen d6, attacking this pawn. I don't know. Either way, knight b8 would have been the best move. Instead, I played rook d8, still missing this idea of bishop b5, which Fabi doesn't see right away. He starts with knight f4, but after rook d6, now he plays bishop b5, and it's still very strong, because I don't have a good way to defend c6, and he's also, not only is he attacking c6, he's attacking d5, and an annoying move to face as black would be if white is allowed to play rook c5, because all of a sudden I have this pawn to defend, the next rook is going to come to c1, so I'll have to defend this knight even more. I also have to worry about maybe he can trade for this bishop at the right moment, which is a piece that might want to come over and defend. So there's all of a sudden a lot of problems for black. I start with bishop f5, and the idea is I'm going to play bishop d7 and reinforce the queen side. So logically he takes on c6, which immediately gives me doubled pawns and a very weak queen side. Maybe he can hope to get his knight to c5 later, or just simply double up on the c-file and target this pawn now. There's a lot of ways that white could play. But instead he goes g4. I go bishop d7, which felt like a natural move. I mean, obviously the engine doesn't like it, but I'm just defending this pawn. And now he goes rook c3, which makes sense to me also. He's going to double up on the c-file. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why the engine doesn't like this move. So I go rook f6, and the reason I go rook f6 is I really have to start creating a plan, because if I sit here and do nothing, which is very easy to do here, actually it's not easy to do, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it's kind of hard to make a nothing move. But yeah, luckily I didn't do nothing, and I went for pretty much the only plan I saw, which was put the rook on f6, play for g5, and if he goes knight h5, I'll sidestep with the rook and go f5. Basically, I need some kind of pawn pushes on the king side that can make use of all of the pieces that I have, which are stuck in this side of the board. So after rook f6, he plays knight h5. I go rook g6. And here I think knight g3 would have... It's not the #1 engine move, but knight g3 would have been an annoying move to face, because my only idea here, after playing rook g6, was to play f5 next and blast open the king side. So I think knight g3 would have been a nice prophylaxis move, stopping f5. And then now he can continue with his plans on the queen side probably. I mean, it's not a simple position. I'm gonna play for this idea anyways. But after g3, I don't know if he didn't see f5 or what exactly happened, but f5 becomes a lot stronger now after he plays g3. And you're going to see why, because I'm able to get my rooks to the f-file very quickly, and if he tries to blockade with his knight on f4, which he does try to do, then I'm able to play g5 as a response. So we trade on f5. He goes back to f4, I play rook f6, and now he plays king g2, putting the king away from the f-file. I go back to d7, and my idea is very simple now. All of a sudden, you can see that black has something to play for, which a couple moves ago probably you couldn't say this. I mean, here it looks like black hardly has a plan. I mean, f5 might still be a plan, but uh, you would think that there's some way. I mean, it doesn't just work out very cleanly. But if we go to this position now, uh, there's some very natural moves that and black and white's no longer really making any threats on the queen side. So I'm gonna go rook f8. I'm gonna go g5. Yeah, I mean, you can see the potential. So rook f8, and now Fabi makes a huge blunder. He plays e4, and as you can see, the engine says this is almost +3 already. And during the game, I was pretty confused because obviously this is a free pawn. So I took the pawn. He goes rook e3, and I guess, I mean, honestly, I don't know really why I guess he was maybe just worried about g5 and didn't see any other way. So he just wanted to strike first, but it just doesn't work out. I mean, his king is very weak. He's trying to attack in front of his king while all my pieces are ready, and his king is weaker than mine. So, I mean, this shouldn't work out, but I obviously made some mistakes later. So we trade on f3. I play queen d6. He goes queen e4. And the engine evaluates this as more than +4 now. And here in this position, I did not play a move, which if I were playing a bullet game, I would snap this move in less than a second and I would know I'm winning. But for some reason against Fabi, I could not have the same level of confidence in my calculation. So because of that, I did not play rook takes f4, which would have been totally winning. And the point is, after he takes back and I take with the rook, all of my pieces are playing. My queen is in the attack. My rook is ready to hop into the attack. We're also ganging up on the d-pawn, so wherever he moves, I can, if I choose to, I can just start by taking this pawn, even threatening rook d2 there. And during all of this, my king is also extremely safe because e8 is defended. So there's really no attack to be worried about from white. So this would have just been a totally crushing position. But instead, I did not take on f4 and I played rook e8. And here, I think that before playing rook e8, I sensed that obviously I'm up a pawn. I knew I couldn't really be worse here, but I felt like I was doing much better and I needed to play a critical move in order to seize the initiative to the maximum. So I guess rook e8 was kind of my the move that I came up with that thought process in mind. I didn't want to play rook takes f4 because I don't know, I just was scared and I didn't calculate it fully. So I went rook e8 instead. Queen d3, and here I made another very strange move, rook d8, which is a double question mark according to the engine. But after playing rook e8, I realized that I didn't actually want to trade on e3, which would have been totally fine, by the way. And instead, I put my rook on d8, and I wanted to start pressuring the d-pawn. But this whole idea of bringing all my rooks to the f-file just to play rook e8, rook d8 is definitely wrong, and I already lost a lot of my advantage here. So he goes rook e1, very logical. And here I make another mistake. I play c5 with the idea to play bishop c6 and start some attack quick. But I just totally missed queen c4 check, which is a fork. And now he's just going to scoop up the pawn. And after he does that, he should be okay. I mean, there's still some problems. So after king h8, he takes. I go bishop c6. And here he needs to play king g1. It's the only move that maintains close to equality. But instead, he makes a huge mistake again with king f2. But the reason that this is a mistake is not something that I saw in the game, and it's a very beautiful continuation, which is, again, I have this idea, rook takes f4. So after gf, queen takes... if he goes king g1, then I just play queen g4, queen g2 mate. There's nothing there. So he has to play king e2. And now I simply take on d4, and I'm covering both lines that the king can escape, and my threat is simply queen h2. And it's very annoying to stop. If he continues with queen takes c6, then I have this beautiful line, just completely I'm down an entire rook here. I go queen h2. If he plays king f3, this is mate in 1. So he can't do that. He's going to go here. And now it's not rook f4 because he has this miraculous save here, by the way. Rook f3, rook g4 threatening mate. But now it's not rook f2 because here he allows rook g1, queen e5, and I win back the rook, and I should be winning there. It's not rook f2 here, it's rook e8 first, and then after the king moves, now you go here, because if I give the same check, there's no queen e5 anymore because the rook is here instead, and this would be winning for white. But regardless, it's not rook f4, it's rook g4, and it's kind of just a savage move because you're threatening rook g1 mate, and you say to your opponent, how would you like to defend this square? And the answer is you can't. The best line would have been queen e8, queen e4, and forcing the queen for the rook trade, but I'm up. I mean, yes, he has 2 rooks for the queen, but after I scoop up this pawn, I'm up 3 whole pawns. This should be winning for black, and I think I mean, against Fabi, who knows what would have happened, but I would not have lost that for sure. There's just no pawns left. But I did not see this idea, unfortunately. And by the way, we probably had maybe 30 seconds or so, maybe 20-something seconds each here. So, I mean, my mistakes are a little bit forgivable, I guess. So instead of taking on f4, I took the pawn on d4, and all of my advantage is gone. It's basically equal. And Fabi played this endgame pretty much flawlessly, and you would be shocked at how fast I lost this game. So he goes rook e6, very logical, just getting the rooks active. I go rook back to d6, I trade, and he goes rook c1, which is a very strong move because he immediately pins my bishop. My bishop is now stuck on this square because if I move away, my pawn's hanging. And now, because my bishop is stuck, my rook is also stuck, since it needs to defend the bishop. So he basically plays this one move that ties down all my pieces, and now all he needs to do is just reroute the knight to e5, force my bishop to move, and then he'll just win the pawn. And he executed that plan very quickly, and there was nothing I could honestly do about it. I needed to give up this pawn and play with equal pawns, which is what I did. I had to move the bishop away after knight e5, and he goes king e4, and I don't know, we probably had less than 10 seconds here, and I was like, hey, rook e6, put him in a pin, it forces rook c5, must be good for me. But unfortunately, after rook e6, I lose the game, and Fabi checkmated me. So I went from evaluation of 0-0 to mate in 2, which is unfortunate, but you know, I had a winning position. I think I fought pretty well in the opening. I mean, yes, I missed this idea of bishop b5, but there were some phases of the game where I played very well. Like here, after I spotted knight c6, I found a lot of nice moves. I mean, I got knight e4 was nice. I could tell that I was doing well here because all my moves were attacking and forcing him to defend in uncomfortable ways. But yeah, I just needed to see knight a2, unfortunately. And then after that, he equalized very well. And then again, I mean, yes, I was worse here, but finding f5 was very important, and it's good that I did this. And I mean, most of this I played fine. I mean, here again, like, it was such a up and down game. I had so many chances where I could have, if I just played a little bit better at the critical moments, then I think I could have won. And like I said, I mean, rook takes f4 here. I would probably play this in a bullet game in like 1 second. But okay, that was how that game went. So now we'll go to game 2, which is a lot. Oh, now we'll go to game 2, which is a lot less exciting because it wasn't very close. So I was white, and I'm just gonna go through it quickly. So we played a Sveshnikov. This is all theory, and g3 is not a very great move. It's still some kind of theory, but the move I would recommend to you guys is knight c2 here, and you'll see why in the game, because if he plays the way he played in the game, like if you go bishop g5 here, then I mean there's all sorts of stuff you can. But the main point of moving the knight away is that you get to play a4 immediately here, and when the rook isn't on b8, which it was in the game, this move is a lot more possible because like if trades and then rook b8, this pawn is just hanging. But if I were to play a4 here, like here, or even after h4, then he can just take, and if I take back, this pawn's hanging, and this is a lot different than the other line I was showing. So anyways, I went h4, bishop h6, bishop g2, which is still okay. I castle, he goes a5. And here it's like very hard to just play as white, I think, which is why I would suggest the other line, because I think you get a lot more clear of a plan when you're playing it for a4. But anyways, I continue with knight e3, queen d3, king h8, rook d1, f5, and actually we're following a game. We're following a game here from 1994 where white took on f5. So yeah, somehow I played 19 moves of theory. I wasn't really sure that if I was playing correctly, but here I missed an important move. I think taking an f5 is probably playable, but the best move is playing f4, which I just didn't see at all. Which obviously it stops f4, but it also gives me some play. For example, if he takes, I take with the knight. Now I'm attacking here. My bishop can maybe come to life attacking this knight or something. And moving this knight away is like kind of a win, as long as I'm not missing something on the king side. So this would have been nice, but instead I freaked out and played queen e2, and he simply goes f4, and now the attack is about to get very brutal. So any children watching this, shield your eyes, because yeah, it's not pretty. So I made my position even worse by playing g takes f4, which just undefends h4. It gives him f3 ideas. It's just like very anti-positional. I honestly have no idea why I did this, although it's hard to suggest a move. And then I go h5, which is just I think this, I remember some like weird trick I had in mind. I think I was hoping he would take and I would go knight h2 or something, but he finds the best move, which is f3, just sacrificing the pawn to get insane amounts of compensation, and he gets a huge attack very quickly. Here he's already threatening g takes h5, so I went h6 to stop that, and then I went knight e3, but yeah, here I'm just losing. He brings the last minor piece into the attack, and I'm just losing a piece here by force. I go bishop g2, he takes my piece, and the rest of the game, I mean, he already crushed me. The rest is just mean because he played all these moves perfectly too. Yeah, and he just takes an f2. I couldn't do anything about this. So now I'm just down a queen or I have, he has a queen and a piece for 2 rooks. And here I just go king h3 and allow him, I mean, he just mates me in 1. But yeah, this game was a bit embarrassing compared to the first game, but hey, at least I got to play against Fabi. So anyways, that's going to be it for today's video. This was an awesome moment for me. I'm a big fan of Fabi. I actually almost had the chance to play him over winter break. I was basically going to play him. I was paired against him in a rapid tournament that was going on in St. Louis in the first round. But the thing was, the tournament started 30 minutes before the scheduled time, and I showed up on time. So when I got to the tournament hall, I saw that I was paired with Fabi, but my name was crossed out because the round had already started. And let's just say I was very sad that happened. So getting the chance to play him finally, and not only that, but putting up a decent performance, mainly talking about the first game, it was very nice. So anyways, guys, thank you for watching. If you made it this far into the video, really appreciate it. And I'm going to continue making more videos. Let me know what you guys want to see from me. I'm down for suggestions. And yeah, that'll be it. I'll see you guys in the next video.